Hello everyone, I'm Rosalind Pryor, speech language pathologist and licensed educational diagnostician. And I'm here to talk to you today regarding part one on some strategies that teachers can use for homework when dealing with kids with attention deficit disorder or ADHD. Kids with ADHD have many problems with study skills, with executive functioning, with processing of information. So there is a special teacher that can deal with these kids and know what strategies that you can use to help these children become successful, not only in class, but with their schoolwork that's done at home and out of class. So this list addresses ways that teachers can greatly assist ADHD students and their parents in having homework success. So let's think of first, what to be aware of. I think you need to know what to be aware of with students with ADHD. So children and teens with attention deficit disorder generally struggle with homework. That is one of the things that they struggle with the most. And this is a source of chronic stress and frustration for a child diagnosed with ADHD. You need to keep in mind that they have executive functioning weaknesses, and that they struggle with organization, time management, and study skills. Keep in mind how much extra time that it takes for a student with ADHD to be done with their work. And what takes an average student without ADHD about 15 to 20 minutes to finish or to complete can easily take at least 2 to 3 times as long for a child with ADHD, even with strong parental support, supervision, and assistance from their parents. Be responsive to parents reporting when they have great frustration at home with homework, and when they're be willing to make adjustments so that students with ADHD and or learning disabilities, LD, spend a reasonable and not an excessive amount of time doing homework in the evenings. Sometimes these kids can be up to 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock midnight trying to complete the same homework that a student without ADHD can complete in 30 to 40 minutes. Realize that students with ADHD who receive medication during the school day, and that's to help them stay focused and on task, are often not receiving medication benefits in the late afternoon or even the evening hours. So they're working on no medication at all. When you see them during the day, they've had their medication, but in the evening or afternoon, their medication has virtually left their system. So it is unreasonable to have an expectation that parents are able to get their child to produce at home and at night when you were not able to get the student to produce all day at school when they were on medication. So these are some things that to avoid. Avoid sending home unfinished classwork that they didn't complete during the day. Avoid sending that home for homework. Instead, provide the necessary modifications and supports so that the student can finish that work in school with your help and finish their homework at home. So now if you send it home as classwork, now they have their classwork and their homework to finish that night. Avoid signing homework involving new information that the student is supposed to figure out on his or her own, or the parents are expected to teach that child. Homework should be a time for reviewing and practicing what the student has already been exposed to during the school day. Avoid assigning busy work. I think I said this in my previous video. Avoid assigning busy work. Make the homework relevant and purposeful so that time is not spent on obscure assignments that are not helping to reinforce the skills that you have taught during the day. So if like I gave an example in the previous video of a student, if you give a student 30 problems to demonstrate mastery of an algebra concept, it doesn't really take 30 problems to demonstrate the mastery of an algebra concept. It may only take 5, 6, 7, 8 problems to demonstrate the mastery of that concept. So avoid sending home 3, 4 pages of math problems just to demonstrate that concept. That's what's called busy work. Avoid assigning homework as a punishment or consequence for misbehavior at school. I'm going to say that again. Avoid assigning homework as a consequence for misbehavior at school. Misbehavior should be taken at school should be taken up with the parents at the time and the principal at the time of that the misbehavior happened. Not you don't want to make homework a punishment for or a signal of punishment for misbehavior at school. So what are you telling the child? Homework is something that's done for misbehavior. Avoid unnecessary copying, recopying, or expectations for high standards of neatness with your ADHD and LD students. Now, these students often have problems with handwriting, often have problems copying from one sheet of paper to another sheet of paper, yet alone copying information from the whiteboard or the overhead onto their paper. And so avoid that neatness factor. If you can read it, great. If they can use a keyboard or a laptop and do the same thing, let them do that. Avoid assigning homework that is not collected, checked, and returned. Those students need that feedback on what on the work that you've already checked to see where they went wrong, what they need to do instead. So avoid not sending completed homework or checked homework that has been reviewed by you back to the student. The next thing I want to cover is structure and support that you can give. Make sure you have explained the homework, provided clear guidelines, and clarified any questions that the student may have before they leave school. And I would encourage you to encourage the parents to have their student make sure they understand what it is that they're supposed to do before they leave your classroom in the evening. But you as a teacher are also responsible, if you know that a child has ADHD, for making sure they do understand what it is that they are supposed to be doing. Provide many structural supports for long-term projects, assignments, including clear guidelines for the project with timelines, and help with that time management. You need to put it in chunks. It's like by this date, this needs to be done. The outline needs to be completed. Paragraph 1 needs to be completed. Paragraph 2 needs to be completed. These ideas need to be organized. So make sure that the child knows what they're doing, knows when they need to look things up. Make sure you're kind of guiding them with their time management skills. And make sure you are giving them that clear feedback. One of the most important things you can do to help all students, not just students with ADHD, all students and their parents, is keep on top of homework, tests, and long-term projects, is to require the use of an assignment calendar. Require that use of an assignment calendar, a sheet, a planner. A lot of schools are giving out planners to students now as a just as a standard. They are giving the kids planners at the beginning of the school year, but if not, encourage your children to get a planner. Encourage the parents to maybe buy them a planner that's simple, that they can understand. Then guide and walk through and monitor the recording of their assignments when they write it in the planner. It will help the parents enormously and you know that the children have written down what they're supposed to do in that planner before they leave school, and monitor the things that they have done for homework. So you can go back the next day and say, hey, Johnny, did you do this, this, and this, and check it off, and get back with the parent and say, hey, that was written down in the planner. Require and help walk through the recording or the writing down of all the homework assignments in the student's planner, calendar, and assignment sheet. Check and initial the assignments on the calendar, the sheet, or the planner. If they're done, initial and check them off. If they're not done, don't initial and check them off, and get back with that parent via email or whatever. Supervise the ADHD students before they walk out of the door at the end of the day. Make sure they have all the materials, books, and assignments recorded, and they have all the books in their backpack that's needed for any assignments that you may have assigned that day. Just make it a general check through. Hey, look at your assignment sheet, see if you have the book for this, the book for this, the book for this. And it may not hurt if you have on the assignment sheet the book that's needed, the paper that's needed for that assignment. Visually post homework assignments in addition to explaining them. So you want for them to visually see the assignments and explain them at the same time. Write the assignment in a consistent location. Like if it's going to be on the top right-hand side of the board every day, write it on the top right-hand side of the board. And make sure you explain what it is they're supposed to do, in addition to making sure they've written it down in their assignment notebooks. Keep a master copy of the assignment calendar and the student planner up to date and accessible for students to copy. So you may want to have a copy of a planner yourself that's a master planner that they can look at and see what it is that they need to have in their planner. Now, this is especially important for students who are pulled out of the classroom at times to go to various other classes or therapies or content mastery or learning lab. They may miss something while they're gone. So this is especially important for those students. Be a model of recording of assignments on the assignment sheet or calendar, and then have the students copy it. Provide needed modifications and accommodations. So ask yourself, what is the goal of this assignment? Is it for me to see what they're writing, their writing style or their writing content, or is it for me to see their handwriting? Is this reading assignment for me to see their basic reading skills or their reading comprehension skills? Ask yourself, what do I want the student to learn from the assignment? Can this child get the concepts without having to do all the writing? Or can they do the writing in a different way? Can they keyboard it? Can they type it on a laptop? Can they put it on a word processor? Can this student practice the skills in an easier and more motivating way than the way that you are presenting the information? Can this child practice the skills by doing fewer problems? Like I was saying before, does mastery necessarily mean they have to show you those 3 sheets of problems? Or can they master by showing you 1 sheet of problems? Think in terms of shortening, cutting the written workload and reducing the amount of written output required for these students with ADHD. Writing is an incredibly difficult process. It takes an incredible amount of mental energy. So think about reducing that amount for those students with ADHD. Work with your school about the possibility of having supervised study halls for kids with ADHD or learning disabilities, homework labs, tutorials, and other assistance available for students who need it. You can even have after-school tutoring hours yourself in your own classroom to help those students with ADHD, or you can see if your special education department may have that already offered. Let's talk about increasing communication. So require your parents to initial the assignment calendar daily. So when it goes home and comes back and goes home and comes back, this is a system. This system is a good way for you to communicate with parents as well. So you may write a few comments or notes on that sheet to the parent on this and vice versa. So they can write notes to you and you can write notes back to them. Now, communicate regularly with your parents of students who are failing or falling behind in homework, and work out a system of letting the students and the parents know that they are not getting the homework turned in. Don't wait until the progress report is sent home, or wait until the report card is sent home to let the parent know, hey, my student is failing. Let them know well in advance that the student is failing or not getting their homework turned in. Communicate with other teachers on your team. Students who have several teachers are often assigned a number of tests, large projects, and reading assignments all at the same time because no one teacher is talking to the other. Be sensitive to this. Stagger due dates and coordinate with other teachers whenever possible, because you want to avoid heavy stress and heavy load. I wish when I was in college, teachers had to talk to each other, but that doesn't happen. Be sure to collect homework and give some feedback. Make sure you give feedback on the homework. It's very frustrating for students and parents to spend a lot of time on assignment and never see it again, and no one bothers to ever collect it or look at it or read it or even grade it. So make sure you do give feedback on the homework that you are sending. If your school is modernized and you have a home school communication system, hotlines, teacher web pages, school web pages, voicemail, use them regularly. Keep them up to date so that the students can look on that web page and see what it is that they are supposed to do. And the parents can also do the same thing. Last thing to talk to today is about increasing motivation. Try to make the homework assignments more interesting. One way is to add interest, increase motivation to the work on homework or to increase the motivation on homework is to build in a component of student choice. For example, select 3 of the 5 questions to answer. Choose from topics A, B, or C that you want to write your essay on. Include some homework that incorporates an element of play or fun, such as learning a game to reinforce or practice a skill. Write a goal of improvement in homework performance together with the student and the parent, if possible. If, for example, the child turns in less than 50% of the homework assignment during the typical week, the initial goal might be to turn in 70% of weekly assignments. Gradually raise the goal performance standard when it's appropriate. And that's only when he's getting close to mastery of the other goal. If you use a daily report card or a weekly report card with a student, include ratings for the behavior. They turned in their homework, was prepared for class with homework in hand, needed materials. Reward students for completed and turned in homework. You can use extra points. You can use tangible treats, although I don't like necessarily using food. 1 free homework pass, 1 late homework without a penalty pass, special privileges. Kids love to help out the teacher, or whatever students find positively reinforcing for them. So if you like this video, again, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I will try to give you the second part of this video, which is helping teachers with students with ADHD with homework problems and strategies soon. So again, thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, please check out my website, www.pryorandassociates.com. I'll also put that down in the comments section. Thanks a lot and have a great day.